thanks again for coming, guys. Like I was saying, we have a YouTube channel up. We're in the process of getting that all ironed out so you guys can have a link to any videos that you may miss in the future if you can't come a Wednesday. However, you will only get 3 points for that one. You won't get the full 5 for coming, and you can't bring a guest, obviously.
They can't sit next to you and watch?
They can't sit next to you and watch, no. My presentation today is going to be on how to read a nutrition facts label. I'm no dietitian, I'm no expert on this, but I feel like there are some things that a lot of us miss when we look at nutrition labels. A lot of the stuff I want to touch on is from the FDA, so a lot of the things they have on their website is what I'm going to have up here. How many of you would say you look at the nutrition label anytime you buy something? Great. Would any of you feel like you're experts? You know exactly what you're looking at? Few of you. I heard a few of you. I saw a few thumbs down. Okay, well, good. Maybe you can help me out then if I screw something up. All right, so here's what they have up on their website. Not a huge fan of the order, but I will go in their order. They kind of leave the percent daily value to the end, but we will touch on that. They also picked mac and cheese for their food item. Not really sure why mac and cheese, but we'll go with it. So let's just jump into it. Okay, first thing we're going to look at, serving size. Okay, I feel like this is a big area where people miss. Yeah. Serving size. How many of you actually measure out when you eat something? If it says serving size 1 cup, you measure 1 cup so you know exactly how much you're eating. Anyone?
It's too small.
I do, but I'm meticulous like that. I count my calories. That's just how I am. I know it's hard. So the thing that helps you out is the servings per container. Okay? So that kind of helps you so you don't have to measure everything out. So we're looking at a box of mac and cheese here, all right? Serving size is 1 cup. We're not going to make the mac and cheese, mix it together, mix 1 cup, dump that on our plate, and call it a day, right? No. You're going to gauge how much mac and cheese is actually in that pan, and you're going to say, hey, did I eat half of it? If I ate half of the box of mac and cheese, I ate half the serving, so therefore I ate 1 cup. If I ate the whole box, 2 servings. If I ate, a fourth of it, it's half a serving. Okay? We're going to use that for the rest of our information. Next thing here is calories. You're going to use that first step with this step. Okay? So if I had half the box of mac and cheese, that's how many calories I had because that's half the amount of servings. Right? Along with this, they put calories from fat. This is something hard to watch out for just because a lot of things you want to avoid 1/3 calories from fat. Anything above 1/3 calories from fat, chances are it's bad for you. Okay? Mac and cheese is almost 50% calories from fat. Probably shouldn't be eating mac and cheese, which is why it probably shouldn't be on the FDA's website. Or at least this brand of mac and cheese. I'm sure there's some better brands out there. There are some exceptions. Certain peanut butters, and we'll touch on peanut butter a little bit later. The more natural peanut butters, not the sugar-filled, fat-filled stuff, those are going to be predominantly fats. Nuts, dark chocolate, those are all okay. The dark chocolate is okay to eat, yes. If you have a craving, you can have dark chocolate in moderation. But that's going to be predominantly fat. The next thing on the list, the nutrients you need to limit. Okay? Oops. You need to limit your fats, the bad fats. Okay? The bad fats on here are the saturated fats and the trans fats. I'll come back to the good fats in a second. A lot of people think that you want to go fat-free. You don't have to go fat-free. You shouldn't go fat-free. You need fat in your diet. Roughly 20 to 35% of your calories should come from fats. If you have no fats in your diet, you're never going to feel full. You're going to want to eat all the time. You don't ever have that satisfied feeling. Plus, fats are a tremendous source of energy. They give you energy for long-term exercise. So if you're getting on a treadmill for like 45 minutes, or if you're training to run a marathon or something, those long, extended exercise bouts, the energy comes from fat. So you need fats. Trans fats need to be completely eliminated from your diet. There's not one good thing about trans fat, and it's all bad fat. It's all terrible for you. A lot of things hide trans fats, and I'll show you some examples later. But they'll hide their trans fats. If you look at their ingredient list, it'll say partially or hydrogenated oils or whatever. Those are trans fat. Just because it says no trans fats on the front or on the back doesn't mean there aren't any in there. Where did I put that? I think I put that later, but I think it's if less than 0.5 grams or something like that per serving, they don't have to list it. So if you have 0.49 grams of trans fat per serving, it's going to say 0. Things you want to avoid for the bad fats: red meats, butter, cheese, and full-fat ice cream. Full-fat cheese. You want to go low-fat, part skim, those type of cheeses. The full-fat cheeses are full of saturated fat. Remember, anytime I tell you something's bad, it's the full-fat version, especially in this case. Okay, there are always better alternatives, like ice cream. I'm not telling you guys you can't ever have ice cream. I mean, I'd be the biggest hypocrite if I told you that. Just trying to find, yogurts are great. Yeah, I'll touch on yogurt a little bit later too. Like I said before, you need fats in your diet. The good ones are the mono and polyunsaturated fats. Those are the ones that are going to help you prevent heart disease, prevent stroke, prevent diabetes. Good sources of these are vegetable oils, nuts, seeds, fish. If something's fat-free, chances are something was added. Lots of sugar or some other carb will be added in place of that fat. Because otherwise it's going to taste like cardboard, and no one's going to buy it, no one's going to eat it. Cholesterol, that's the next thing on the label. I'm sure you guys have been drilled all the time about your cholesterol, the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. I mean, you guys have your blood test every year, so you know all about the HDL and LDL. I'm going to give you a little physiology lesson behind it. The more foods you eat that are high in saturated fats and trans fats, the more cholesterol is produced in your body. Now, LDL is like a ferry that takes those cholesterol to where you need it in the body. Your body needs cholesterol. It needs it for like cell linings, producing vitamin D. There's certain little things that your body needs cholesterol for. The LDL transports that where it's needed. Now, if you have excess cholesterol, your body's going to produce more LDL because it's like, hey, I have all this cholesterol, I need to take it somewhere. Now I have excess cholesterol in these LDLs, and it starts depositing it into your arterial walls. That's what will lead to clots, heart attacks, strokes, all those things. The HDL, the good ones, they're like a vacuum cleaner. The more HDL you have, they're going to go in there and like suck up all those excess cholesterol that we don't want depositing in our arteries. They're just going to suck it up, take it, get rid of it. We can increase that HDL by exercising. It's the best way to do it. Those who are obese and those who smoke drastically lower their HDL. Therefore, excess cholesterol deposits in the arterial walls, heart attacks, strokes, et cetera, et cetera. Sodium. It's the next thing on the list. We need sodium. Sodium is a very important nutrient we need. It's needed for blood pressure control. You need it for muscles and nerves to work properly. However, too much leads to high blood pressure, serious buildup of fluids, heart failure, liver failure, kidney disease, all those. Sources of sodium that you need to look out for. Table salt, obviously. Milk is actually somewhat high in sodium, so be careful with how much milk you drink. Beets, even celery has sodium. Yeah. Drinking water. Nobody's water is perfectly pure. And maybe Zephyr Hills. But drinking water, no, not even Zephyr Hills, even they have sodium in it. Soy sauce, it's a big one for my wife. Oh, she was here. Onion salt, garlic salt. Things you definitely want to avoid if you're concerned about sodium. Processed meats, like bacon, sausage, ham. Canned soups, I'm sure you guys all have heard that. And fast food, the biggest culprit of sodium. I should have put an example of fast food nutrition up there and how much sodium is in that. It's like 3 days worth in one meal. Carbs is the big one. People feel like, carbs, I can't have carbs. Carbs are terrible for me. No. Carbs are your source of energy. If you don't have carbs, you're going to feel groggy all day. You're just going to drag. Granted, you feel like that after you have a whole bunch of carbs. So you kind of want to have that happy medium. But you need carbs for energy. 50 to 65% of your calories should come from carbs. You have two types of carbs that are simple, which is like the sugar, fructose, galactose. Anything that ends in ose is a sugar. And then you have complex carbs like whole grains. We definitely don't want to eliminate, but we don't want to overdo it. If we overdo it, this happens. Carb addiction cycle. We got to jump in here somewhere, so let's jump in here to eat carbs. Okay? We have carbs for lunch. We have too many carbs. This is when you have too many carbs. Okay? When you eat all those carbs, your blood sugar spikes. Okay? When your blood sugar spikes, your body releases insulin. This should have been like more of a why, because the insulin release leads to body fat production, but it also lowers your blood sugar. You don't want your blood sugar sky high, so you need the insulin to lower your blood sugar. That low blood sugar leads to a craving, and then that craving leads you right back to eating more carbs. Okay? This cycle is deadly. You got to find some way to get out of this cycle if you're stuck in it. I've been there. I mean, I battle it daily. The carb cycle is hard to get out of. The easiest way is just limit your carbs. Just have the amount of carbs you're supposed to have. Don't have anything that's super sugary, super high in carbs. Fiber. How many of you say you get enough fiber every day? Okay, maybe a handful. This is terrible. You have to get enough fiber. You need 20 to 35 grams per day, at least. Okay? It lowers your blood cholesterol levels, prevents constipation. Foods that you eat that have more fiber tend to be more nutritious. You're not going to eat candy and expect to get fiber from it, but you can eat fiber and it's going to be a great, snack or replacement snack. Fiber helps you feel full. There are two types of fiber. There's the soluble fiber that slows your digestion and it delays the emptying of your stomach, so you feel full longer. And then you have the insoluble fiber, which has like a laxative effect, so you don't have that backup in there. It doesn't really matter. There's charts that say you should have this much soluble and this much insoluble. Most nutrition labels don't break it down to how much of each there is, so don't worry about it. Just make sure you're getting your 20 to 35 grams of fiber. That's the most important part. Good sources of fiber, you guys I'm sure have heard this 100 times. Oatmeal, apples, bran, nuts, leafy greens, whole grains, and beans, obviously. All right, go back to sugars. I don't know why I made this out of order, but whatever. Nutrition labels will show how much sugar there is. They don't necessarily say how much of that sugar is added and how much isn't added, but it'll show you total how much sugar is in that item. If you look at your carbs total and you look at the sugars total, and it's the same number, don't eat it. It's pure sugar. Protein, I like protein. This is my favorite one. Protein is very important for growth and repair of body tissues. Protein is not thought of as a problem. So if you look at most nutrition labels, they're not going to have a percent daily value or anything next to that. Most people, there aren't any major side effects for having too much protein. Okay, you might have some liver issues, like it's a little rough on your liver or something like that, but there's nothing that shows way too much protein is terrible for you. So that's why there aren't any limits or anything for protein. General rule, you want to have 0.4 to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. Okay, so if I weigh 200 pounds, I should be having 80 to 160 grams of protein, depending on how much weight training and lifting and exercise and how active you are. If you're doing a lot of damage to your muscles and your tissues, you're going to need a little extra protein to help repair and rebuild all that. If you're not doing much of that, stay in that lower end of 0.4. The protein goes in, helps rebuild your muscle, build your muscle stronger. The more muscle you have, The higher your BMR is, which means the more calories you're going to burn throughout the day. Now we're getting into stuff that I'm not an expert on, but I will try my best. Vitamin A is a big one they list on there. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. It's used to form and maintain healthy skin, teeth, soft tissues. It produces pigments in the retina of the eye, which is why you hear and take vitamin A for eyesight. Beta-carotene is a vitamin A, form of vitamin A, and it's an antioxidant. I'm sure you guys have heard 100 times what antioxidants are. It helps protect against free radicals. The free radicals are what cause cancer and move along the aging process, all that stuff. So the more antioxidants we have, the more we fight against those. Good sources of the beta-carotene: bright yellow and orange fruits, carrots, pumpkins, sweet potatoes, broccoli, spinach, and other dark leafy greens. If we have too little vitamin A, we'll be susceptible to infectious diseases and vision problems down the road. If we have too much, you feel sick, or if pregnant women could have birth defects if they have too much vitamin A. Vitamin C is water soluble, which means you need a continuous supply. You ingest vitamin C, you have a lot of water in your body, you're drinking a lot of water, it gets dissolved, it gets broken up, and it passes through quickly. So you need a constant feeding of the vitamin C. I'm sure you've seen the commercials. A glass of orange juice a day gives you 100% of the vitamin C you need. It's that simple. Vitamin C helps with growth and repair of tissues in all parts of the body: skin, tendons, ligaments, blood vessels. Helps you heal wounds, form scar tissue, the cartilage, bones, teeth. It also is an antioxidant. Your body cannot produce or store, so therefore you need to take it daily. This might be some bad news for some people, but it is not as effective for colds as we think. A lot of people think popping a whole bunch of vitamin C tablets when they're sick will help. If you're consuming vitamin C daily as much as you're supposed to, it'll help your cold to be shorter and less intense, but it does not really help prevent you getting the common cold. However, good sources: fruits, veggies, cantaloupe, orange, grapefruit, kiwi, mango, berries, broccoli, peppers, spinach, cabbage, potatoes, and tomatoes. Too much is rare, unless a little kid gets into some vitamin C chewables or something, he thinks they're candy. But pretty much the worst thing is you're going to have an upset stomach, maybe some diarrhea. But too little can lead to signs that you're deficient in vitamin C, which is anemia. Your gums will bleed when you brush your teeth. You'll have a decreased ability to fight infections and heal wounds. Your hair will dry and split. You'll bruise really easily. You have frequent nosebleeds. And you'll have rough, dry, scaly skin. So if any of these signs, if you're seeing any of these things, you might want to check your vitamin C consumption to make sure you're getting enough of that. Calcium is a big one. It's a mineral. You need 1,000 milligrams per day on average. There are a few populations who need more. Teens, especially female teens, they need about 1,300 milligrams per day. And postmenopausal women, they need about 1,200 milligrams per day. So when you look at the labels, you'll see on there it says like vitamin C 30%. That 30% is based on those who need 1,000. So if you're in the population where you need more than 1,000, that 30% is more like 20%. Okay, so you need a little bit more than what that says on there. Calcium helps maintain strong bones and teeth. I'm sure you guys have heard that since you were 6. Helps with muscle movement, nerve signals. It helps your blood vessels move blood. Hormone and enzyme release needs vitamin C, calcium. Good sources: milk, yogurt, cheese, low-fat cheese, broccoli, cabbage, fish, grains, and cereals. Cereals are a really good one. They all fortify with calcium. Yeah? Spinach and greens? Like I said, eat spinach and greens every night if you can. you'll get all of these. You don't need a multivitamin, just eat spinach. Long-term deficits of calcium will lead to osteopenia, which is a lower bone growth, an increased risk of osteoporosis. You'll feel numbness and tingling in your fingers, convulsions, heart arrhythmias, and too much can lead to kidney stones. So again, make sure you're reading your labels, see exactly how much you're eating, because you don't want too little and you don't want too much. Iron, a big one for females, because they need a lot more than we do. Males only need about 8 milligrams, females need 18. They need more than twice as much. If you're pregnant, you need over 3 times as much as males do. Iron makes hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is what carries your oxygen from the lungs to the rest of your body. If you don't have any hemoglobin, you're going to be oxygen deficient in the extremities. If you have too much iron, it'll lead to iron poisoning, some ulcers, some pains in the stomach. Too little, again, you'll be anemic. You'll have a lack of oxygen in your blood. Great sources of iron, cereals. Cereals are about the only thing that list all the vitamins and minerals down. Like Total loves to advertise 100% of everything. So if you look on that whole list goes all the way down. They have 100% of everything. A lot of cereals have a lot of the iron you need for the day. Small little bowl of cereal in the morning before you have your toast or your coffee or eggs, whatever you're having. It's a great source of iron. Oysters, not a fan, but to each his own. Beans, dark chocolate, another excuse to have a little piece of dark chocolate. What are lentils? I read that like 5 times doing my research. Anybody know what lentils are? Is it a bean? Okay. Really? To each his own. Spinach, kidney beans, chickpeas, tomatoes, beef, lean beef, not full-fat beef, potatoes, and cashews. All right. Each nutrition label has a footnote. And you'll see here, this starts leading into the percent daily values and how much we each need. Most of them are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. This one, it kind of helps you out for those of us eating more than 2,000. Just gives you rough estimates of how much more you might need than the average person. And the last thing they touched on are the percent daily values. I didn't know this, so I'm glad I did this. This 5% to 20% thing over here on the side, I like this. So if something has 5% or less, it's low in that. If something has 20% or more, it's high. So let's take a look. Calcium, 20%. This food is high in calcium. 20% sodium, this food is also high in sodium. So just because it's high doesn't mean it's good. High could be good, high could be bad. Low could be good, low could be bad. Total fat, getting close to too high. Cholesterol is right in the middle, so it's a good source of cholesterol. Vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, they're all way too low. So if you're looking for those nutrients in mac and cheese, look somewhere else. Oh, fiber, that's a big one. Yeah, that's not going to help. All right. Usually the last thing on there you'll see is an ingredients list. This is a big one. A lot of people kind of skip over this. It's listed in descending order of weight. So the first ingredient you see on an ingredients list is the thing that's mostly in that item. Okay? And then it goes down from there. So the last thing in the list is the smallest amount of what makes up that food. Some of the things you want to look out for. Nicknames for sugar. Heard this 100 times. High fructose corn syrup. Just means sugar. Agave nectar, barley malt syrup, or dehydrated cane juice. All these things are sugar. They just make it sound pretty. Make it sound like, oh, that must be good for me because those are big fancy names. No. Nicknames for sodium. Salt's not really a nickname, but salt will be on there. And you'll see sodium benzoate, disodium or monosodium glutamate, MSG. Want to avoid that like the plague. Nicknames of trans fats, talked about this earlier. Just because something says 0 grams of trans fat on it or no trans fats doesn't mean it doesn't have any trans fats. If you see partially or partially hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils, corn oil, whatever it is, you see those 2 words, try to avoid it, try to find a different option. General rule of thumb, if you look at an ingredients list, you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. All right, here's some examples. Hopefully you can see these. So you look at this butter, 70 calories per serving. First of all, serving size, 1 tablespoon. That'll cover the corner of your piece of toast. Chances are you're having about 4 servings per slice of bread. So let's multiply that by 4. We just had 280 calories on our butter. And it's all fat calories. Look at this. 0 grams of trans fat. Let's look at the ingredients. Partially hydrogenated soybean oil, hydrogenated cottonseed oil. There's trans fat in there. No protein. That's all I wanted to touch on, the trans fats. So yeah, watch out for that. Another one you would never expect, Triscuits. Triscuits, they're made from whole grains, whole wheat stuff. Hydrogenated soybean and cottonseed oils. There's trans fats in there. Those are most likely the flavored ones, the little ones that taste like cardboard. Don't have anything but whole grains and salt, so you're all right there. But the flavored ones, they got caca in it. Peanut butter, this is a big one for me. I love peanut butter. Anybody else a peanut butter lover like me? Yeah, good. Okay, this top left is your standard GIF that I grew up on, eating 3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a day with probably maybe 3 servings of peanut butter per sandwich. You can't read them up there, but the whole peanut butter has made from roasted peanuts. That's the first ingredient. Great, peanuts are good. Second ingredient, sugar. Uh-oh. And then contains 2% or less of molasses, fully hydrogenated vegetable oils, diglycerides, and salt. First ingredient is good, the next 6, not so much. Let's look at a slightly healthier option. This is Jif's natural peanut butter. Made from peanuts, sugar, palm oil, contains 2% or less of salt and molasses. Not the greatest, because there's still this stuff here at the end, but it's a very small amount, and it's 100 times better than this. Same amount of protein, you can't see it on there, same amount of protein, same amount of calories from fat, because the fats are coming from the peanuts. Much better choice. This is, I don't remember what brand, I think it's Smucker's. Yeah, Smucker's completely 100% natural peanut butter. Contains peanuts and 1% or less of salt. That stuff tastes like cardboard. So you don't have to always go to the straight, completely most healthy option, because you want to enjoy the things you're eating. You don't want to have to sit there and be like, it sucks. You want to be able to enjoy what you're eating. So there's a middle ground, okay? You want to avoid this because of all the hydrogenated stuff. This has a much better option. This tastes terrible. I love this. I live and die off of just natural peanut butter. I put it on my toast in the morning. I put it in my protein shakes. I dip my celery in it. Everything. I love peanut butter. But I also watch this. You got to watch that serving size and how much you're eating, because those 2 tablespoons add up quick. Milk is another big one. There's a little debate going on with milk right now.
They say it's not good.
That fat-free milk isn't necessarily the best choice. There's always other options for milk, but I know pretty much everybody drinks milk. I mean, there's the almond milks and the soy milks, and all those are better choices because they're not from an animal product. We want to try to avoid animal products. But let's be real, it's like 3 times as much for half as much. Not all of us go in and buy almond milk and soy milk every time we need milk. Especially those of you with kids. I'm sure you guys go through milk like crazy. I go through milk myself. I go through about 1 gallon a week myself, so I can't imagine how you guys with kids survive keeping milk in the house. Anyway, so we'll start here with the whole milk. You can see the calories, 160, 2% milk, 130, 1% milk, 110, fat-free, 90. It's almost half the amount of calories and the same amount of servings. You go all the way down to fat-free milk. Total fat goes from 8 to 5 to 2 to nada. Sugars, they all stay roughly the same. Protein all stays roughly the same. All the vitamins, roughly the same. Now the argument is a lot of the vitamins that we consume, like I said earlier, fat-soluble vitamins, if we're not getting any sources of fat, those vitamins can't dissolve and be used. So, I prefer skim milk just because I like the taste of it better. I can't stand drinking this stuff because to me it tastes like cream and butter. But I know some of you who live and die by whole milk need to take a step or two down, at least to 2% or 1%. Okay? I don't expect you to go to skim milk just because there are some negatives of skim milk. I just prefer the taste. Ice cream. I don't know if I want to talk about this because then I'll have to make some changes myself. So 2 samples of Ben & Jerry's ice creams. Okay? This is their full fat, full sugar stuff. However, let's take a little peek right here. This is their full-on ice cream, right? Full fat, full sugar, everything. 23 grams of sugar. Let's look at their froyo. It's supposed to be healthier for you, right? 25 grams of sugar. There's actually more sugar in the healthier one. Another thing to look at, serving size. You mean that's not the serving size? Half a cup, there's 4 servings in this? No. There's 1 serving in there. How, has anybody in here, can they say that they've ever sat down and eaten 1/4 of a Ben & Jerry's pint of ice cream? Very good. You have way more self-control than I do. My wife always says, can you go get me some New York Super Fudge Chunk? Nope, because I'm going to get me one and I'm going to eat the whole thing. However, there is a significantly less amount of fat. You go from 15 grams and 19 grams of saturated down to 2.5 and 1.5 of saturated. That's a great change, but not if you have a problem with sugar and carbs. Yogurt. Another place where some stuff hides. Fruit yogurt compared to plain yogurt, okay? First of all, twice as many calories in the fruit yogurt. Granted, there's extra ingredients in there as fruit, right? 0 grams of trans fat in both. Sugars in the fruit. 44 grams of sugar, as opposed to 10 over here. It's a huge difference. Just to add a little bit of fruit in your yogurt. Better choice, buy some plain yogurt, buy some fruit. Mix it in yourself. All right, the stuff that they add in here, high fructose corn syrup, to make the fruits actually taste better, you want to avoid that stuff. So just get your own fruit. Don't buy the yogurts with fruit already in it. Here's some cool things that I didn't know either, which I like a lot. The FDA is going to be trying to make some changes with the nutrition label, hopefully in the near future. Some of them have already kind of gone through. There's going to be a greater understanding of the nutrition that's going on in there. They're going to require info on added sugars. So if you look here, you're going to see dietary fiber sugars and then added sugars. So the sugars that are there are sugars that occur naturally. Like if you're having dairy products, it has galactose. If you're having something with fruit, it has fructose. Those are all natural sugars. But that high fructose corn syrup stuff, they're going to have to start showing you how much of that sugar is added. They're going to update the daily values for sodium, fiber, and vitamin D. So those things are all going to be on here, percent daily value, which is nice. And then they're going to have a required amount of potassium and vitamin D. So not just how much you have to have, but percent daily value that's in this food item. They're going to update serving size requirements. This is the biggest change that I like. They're changing it to what people actually eat, not what they should eat. So that Ben & Jerry's carton is going to go from 290 calories to, what, 20? Wait, am I doing my math wrong? 1,200 calories. It's going to say right on there, 1,200 calories. And you're going to sit there and be like, you see that 1,200? You're going to be more likely to put it down than if you see, oh, only 290. You get halfway through, I'm like, I already ate half, let me just keep going. Sorry, you guys just got a glimpse into my Friday nights. Foods that are typically eaten in one sitting must have information for the whole package. So this, like I said, about the Ben & Jerry's, they're going to be like that. A lot of sodas have already done that. Actually, a lot of sodas have done the next thing. Larger containers that can be eaten in one sitting, but maybe not be typically consumed in one sitting, have to have the dual column. So I'm sure you guys have seen that on some things now, like chips are starting to have it, sodas have it. So you'll see 8 ounces per serving, 100 calories per 8 ounces, and it'll be like 24 ounces for the whole bottle, and how many calories and what's in that for the whole bottle. So I like that. And then you can see they're going to have a refreshed design. So the calories are going to be nice and big. Can't miss it. Just changing the percent, putting that over here on the side so you see that first. Like I said, added sugars, the amounts of these things that you need. But yeah, that's about it. Okay, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.